Like clockwork, year after year, GoPro has now released another action camera, and this one is the Hero 10 and might just be the best action camera that you have ever been able to buy, especially from GoPro. Now, arguably, you could have bought a GoPro anytime in the last 5 to 6 years and you would still have a camera that you can use to this day that no one is really gonna notice any difference if they don't know what they're looking for. But for the user, I think this is the best one ever. Now, you could rock a Hero 4 and still get awesome footage. I know people who still rock that camera to this day. I used the Hero 5 for probably 4 or 5 years before I ever changed from that one. But GoPro has finally gotten me to upgrade this thing after only a year for the first time since I bought the Hero 5 over the Hero 4. The Hero 5 came out with a new form factor and I was getting a lot better battery life. That's why I kept the Hero 5 over the Hero 4. It was also waterproof out of the box. Of course, once you replace the door to use an external plug for a microphone, it's not so waterproof anymore. The Hero 6 did come out with the GP1, the first chip that GoPro produced themselves for their cameras. And with the 6 and 7 and 8, they drastically improved the hypersmooth that was out of the camera. But I really didn't use that function a whole lot, so it wasn't a big draw for me to buy those cameras. The Hero 8 I wanted to like. It was the first one that came in the all-in-one form factor that built in the mount where you don't have to use a case. But the problem was it did not have interchangeable lenses anymore. GoPro realized their mistake, and with the Hero 9, they brought back interchangeable lenses while still keeping the design of having the fold out mounts. So the Hero 9 was the first one that I bought after the Hero 5, but it still wasn't perfect. Now with the Hero 10, they've finally upgraded the processor in their camera to the GP2, the first new processor since the Hero 6. And with that, I think they might have finally gotten this thing just right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted up on my helmet. If you wanna see any of the products that I use down in the description for any of the stuff that you're about to see, including the microphone, the helmet mounts, the ND filters, all of that stuff is linked down in the description so you guys can get them yourselves. Let's see what this thing can do.
So I know I set up the camera there in the beginning of the video, just putting a screen protector. By the way, I'll link that down in the description along with everything else. But I put a screen protector on the stock lens. But again, with the Hero 9 and the Hero 10, one of the things that I was most happy about was them bringing back interchangeable lenses. And it is easier than ever to change lenses on these cameras. In the past, if you wanted to use an ND filter on a GoPro, you would have to put the ND filter on top of the lens for the GoPro. But the cool thing with them being so interchangeable on the 9 and the 10 is that you could just buy ND filter lens like replacements, like swappable lenses. Unscrew the one that's on there, screw on the ND filter lens, and just like that you have the ND filter, which makes it really, really nice. You don't have like extra glass there between the sensor and what you're viewing, and you don't have to worry about them coming off. Or with cheap ND filters in the past, some of them would even like break if you were taking them off and putting them on so often, which I used to kind of swap the ND filter for the environment. And so I would set my frame rate, and I say frame rate, I meant shutter speed. I would set my shutter speed to 1/48 if I was shooting at 24. And then I would just put on the ND filter that I needed to get the proper lighting for my video. I've started to usually just run an ND16, unless it's just a stupid sunny day and I know it's not gonna change. But when I run the ND16, I can just set auto shutter speed, and while it's not always the most perfect shot, it makes it a lot easier for me to just go out and ride and not worry about having the absolute perfect setup for the type of day. So right now I'm actually running an ND32. It is a little bit cloudy of a day, so I would probably normally run an ND16 if I was trying to perfect things, but the ISO will take care of getting enough light on the sensor. But the Hero 10 has the best light performance of any GoPro they've ever released. That's one of the things I've loved about GoPro is they've honestly had pretty great low light performance for my type of videos for a long time, but they've just gotten better and better, and they've gotten better from the 9 to the 10. Now I have been filming in this video so far at 4K 30 Super View in the natural ProTune color profile. That's another thing they've changed on this. It's no longer flat or GoPro color. It's flat, neutral, or natural, and vibrant. But let's go ahead and turn on hyper smooth, because that's something that I've never rocked with running an ND filter, because it just didn't provide a good image if you were trying to run hyper smooth with an ND filter, because it uses the sharpness and the high shutter speed to constantly evaluate the image and make sure that it's you know, stabilized. That's supposed to be a lot better, especially now with the GP2 processor that's in there. Listen to those pops. I tend to move my head around a lot when I ride, especially when I'm vlogging, and the hyper smooth with an ND filter would, can I use this turnaround? The hyper smooth with an ND filter before would not handle that very well. Would just prefer to have the natural motion of me moving my head around. But let's go ahead and just see how it handles that now on the Hero 10. I tell you what, the crazy thing, like, take this camera on a roller coaster, like I did that with the last one. It's honestly insane how smooth these cameras can make the footage and it still look pristine. The main issues that I had with the Hero 9, the GP1 was a little outdated for the camera. You know, high bitrate, high resolution, high frame rate stuff. I don't know if that was my issue on the Hero 9, but I would often lose videos because it could not write the file, and it would only happen on high like high resolution stuff. I would try different memory cards, I would try different batteries, nothing would help it. I don't know if I just had a bunk Hero 9. It hasn't happened yet, but I really hope that I don't encounter that with the Hero 10. But I'm gonna go ahead and head back, take a look at the footage, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more, and we'll test out some of the other stuff on this camera.
So that right there was filming at 2.7K, 240 frames per second. So this video is releasing at 30 frames per second, so slowed down 8 times. Only possible on the Hero 10. You can also do 5.3K at 60 frames per second. Not that I ever plan on doing it, but you can do it now. So I tested out the Hyper Smooth for the first time. Well, I've tested it out in the past, but tested for the first time on the Hero 10 while riding, and I am very happy. It does make the footage look a little bit less dramatic, so not as exciting. It doesn't look like I'm going as fast if I wasn't using Hyper Smooth, but it makes the experience, I think, a lot nicer to watch, especially if you're gonna be watching on a phone, because like I said, when I ride, I tend to move my head around a lot, and this just makes it so it's a lot smoother and it doesn't get wigged out like I've had Hyper Smooth do in the past when I'm trying to use it while riding. I gotta say, with the GP2 that they have in here now, using this thing, like scrolling around the menu and everything like that, super fast, not an issue at all. Let me turn this on for you. So just like moving around. This was never as fast as it is on this right here. Hopefully I don't mess up and change my settings. Incredible. Let's see if I can do it backwards. There you go. So, Hero 10. I'm really, really happy. I think this might be the next GoPro that I can use reliably for 4 or 5 years and not have to upgrade. I'm not saying I won't. I'm just saying that this might be the first one since the Hero 5 that I can use for that long and feel like I'm not missing out on anything. So those are my first impressions of using this thing. Obviously, I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but I will be letting you guys know what I think of it going on. If there's anything that you guys want to know about it, let me know down in the comments. And like I said, if you want to get any of the stuff that I use, my chin mount for my helmet, my microphone, the ND filters that you can screw directly on. By the way, this is how you screw on a lens. Look at that, simple, put it right back on, just like that. ND filters, that's how they swap onto this thing. If you want to get any of those, I'll put those down in the description. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button. Otherwise, you guys have been awesome. I've been Motonosity. Remember, life's better with horsepower. Keep life lived. I'll see you guys in the next one.